Solving percent problems by using the proportion. And if you'll look here in the instructions at the top here, it's telling you that we have a ratio set equal to a ratio. So we're going to call this proportion. So for the proportion here, P is going to represent our percent. And the reason it's divided by 100 is because you have to undo the percent in order to get a value of it, right? So you divide it by 100 if it's in percent. Where B is my base and it's the number that we are finding the percent of. A is the amount and it's the part of the base. So let's solve. It says, then you can read this if you want to pause this. It just depends on what you're solving for. But let's move on. Let's go to example 1 here. Example 1 says, what is 65% of 500? Now, this is giving me the information I need to set it up in the formula method here, you see, right here. Also, another way to look at this is what? We can name it. Let's name it. Let's call it X, okay? Or you can call it Z, you can call it W, whatever you want. And then we see the next word, the word is. Is means equal. And then our next one is the percent, 65%. Well, I know that 65% is going to have to be divided by 100 because I got it 100% because I got to undo the percent. The next says of. Of means multiply. I'm going to use a little dot. Since I'm using X as my variable, I'm going to use a dot. You can use parentheses, whatever you like. Just make sure you know which one it is or what the operation is. And then the last one is the number, which is 500. So I could set it up like this, right? But if I want to use the formula method, I already know the P is 65%. I'm going to divide it by 100%. Again, we're trying to undo percent. A is going to be my unknown. So in this case here, I could have called it A for what? And B is the 500. Now to solve this in this formula method, I would have to take this out of the denominator. Denominator needs to become a 1. So in order to do that, since it's in the denominator, it's divided, I'm going to multiply. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Another way to look at it is this equal sign right here says whatever's in this denominator will come to the top across the equal signs. So that's another way to look at it. Or you can read it and put it in its right setup. I'm going to put a 1 underneath the 500. This is just for me. You do not have to do that. I'm a visual person. It looks better to me. So percents divide into themselves one time and leaves me with 65 over 100. Whoops, not 1,000. Let me erase that little extra 0 there. Over 100 times that 500. Now, there's a few things I could do. I can go ahead and reduce the 65 by the 100, or I could say, oh, looky here. 100 goes in itself one time, and it goes into 500 5 times. So there's multiple ways to do this. I prefer this way because, it reduced so much faster in a smaller number. If I did 65 divided by 100, it would give me 0.65, then times that 500. So whichever method makes better sense to you is good. So I'm going to say 5 times 65 is 325. So that is the number. That is 65% of 500. Now let's do our next example, example 2. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit. All right. It says what percent? So we're solving for the P up there because we're going to put it in percent. Of again is multiplied. And then I got 170 is means equal and 204. Now, again, we could have set this up differently. The of told me it was B. Is going to give me my A. So I got, it would have been P over 100 is equal to 204 over 170. You can set it up that way. whichever works for you. Again, we're solving for P, so P needs to stay here in the numerator, so whatever's down here in the denominator goes to the top across the equal sign. Over here, we already have it set up this way. The only thing on this next thing we're missing is the percent. You know, the 100% were not multiplied here. This one here would actually give you everything, right? In those two steps. This one here is going to be multiple steps. So I got to get P by itself. So I'm going to divide by that 170 since P is multiplied to the 170. I'm going to divide. The division will make it go to 1 times the P. However, we need this to be in percent because it asks for what percent. So I'm going to say 100 times that percent. We're going to get the same answer. Just remember, you don't want to forget it. And on this one here, on this bottom one, you may need to write in the percent because you don't want to forget that as part of your answer because it will be an incorrect statement if you do. So it's 120%. Thank you.